The Houston Rockets have the perfect team. How's that for a hot take? And we'll further explain that bold statement later in the video. But first, we have to address the elephant in the room, Kevin Porter Jr. We won't be getting into specific details about his off-court situation. Instead, we're going to discuss why his absence will make Houston even better, briefly. For starters, he's got a long history of anger issues. It didn't matter where he was, he would find a way to get into a heated altercation with pretty much anyone. Just last season, he was suspended for getting into it with the Denver Nuggets assistant coach. And instead of rejoining the team, he just decided to leave the arena on his own. And the thing is, when you watch him play, he never really seemed like the guy that would have such a long, troublesome track record. Sure, he's had his moments on the court. For example, in a game versus the Philadelphia 76ers, he shoved a player to the floor in transition, and as a result, he was ejected for it. However, many NBA players have had moments like that, where they took their frustration out by making a dirty play. And I'm not saying it's right, but you can find a video about any player doing it. But when you take a deep look into all the trouble he's been in both before and after he got into the league, it's clear that this kid has some major issues that need to be addressed. After he was traded from the Cavaliers in 2020, many on the outside looking in were upset at that trade because they felt like he was really talented and had the potential to be a star, which is true. But what they didn't understand is that the Cavs were going through it when he was there due to Porter not doing the right things. After he was traded, the Cavaliers general manager said this: "After careful and thoughtful evaluation, we made the tough call and collective decision to make this trade. Given the culture and environment we've worked to cultivate here in Cleveland, we feel this move is in everyone's best interest. Kevin has a bright future ahead of him as a professional basketball player and, at his core, is a good person." He was clearly trying to be as nice as possible, but what he was really saying was that KPJ was terrible for the locker room and overall environment, and he brought that same energy to Houston. So with him now being gone for good, that will make the atmosphere and environment a lot better for the first-time head coach, Ime Udoka, to operate in. I can just imagine the feuds him and coach would get into. I strongly believed that he could change Porter Jr. and develop him into the star that he has the potential to be, but it's clear KPJ needs some time off of the court to figure things out. Okay, now with that being said, let's talk about the main reasons the Rockets have the perfect team, starting with their brand new point guard, Fred VanVleet. The most important thing to note about his arrival in Houston is that he's an NBA champion who put up a respectable 14 points per game and shot at an elite 40% from three in the finals. If you want to make it far in this league, you have to have a good to outstanding point guard. The Denver Nuggets have Jamal Murray. The Miami Heat have Kyle Lowry, who has a similar track record to VanVleet. The Warriors have Steph, and Memphis now has Marcus Smart. Of course, I'm not saying that Houston's going to make the NBA Finals, but bringing in Fred will without a doubt increase their playoff chances. The 29-year-old averaged 19 points, 4 rebounds, and 7 assists per game throughout 69 games played last season. He's the perfect point guard for a tough-nosed coach like Udoka. Offensively, VanVleet is a smart, savvy guard who can score at all three levels. He did shoot a career-low 34% from three last season, but he shoots 37% for his career, so this was most likely just a down year, and not even by much, and I expect him to be right back up between 36 to 37%. He just plays winning basketball. He's a great team player and facilitator, which hints at his average of 7 assists per game. He's going to bring a new dynamic to the position, which Houston fans haven't seen since James Harden, CP3, and Russell Westbrook left. VanVleet's leadership and dog mentality will rub off on his younger teammates, and he has the skill and accolades to earn that leadership role. Plus, he gets it done on both ends of the court, averaging 1.8 steals per game last year. He can guard any player in the NBA at his position with remarkably quick hands and assertiveness when navigating through screens. He takes pride in defense. That's something Houston fans aren't used to seeing from their star point guard. The only real concern about him is his injuries. He has never played a full NBA season in his career. Last season was the first time he's played over 64 games since 2017. Jalen Green is Houston's other guard. He isn't a natural point or facilitator, but he's steadily making strides in that direction. If he can learn how to slow things down instead of pounding and forcing his way inside every single possession, I think he'll become a much better player. His questionable shot selection will be attended to by Udoka for sure. Green averaged 20 22 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists in his sophomore campaign. While he could have been more efficient from 3 or the free throw line, the star potential is there. He has the entire makings of being a top 10 scorer in the league sooner rather than later. And now that he has VanVleet to learn from, I wouldn't be surprised to see him bring a new approach to the game, especially defensively. And to Green's credit, there was a slight improvement on that end. However, it's still miles away from good. VanVleet is going to hold him accountable with his leadership and stress the importance of playing both sides of the ball. Recently, during his stint with Team USA, Orlando Magic head coach Jamal Mosley said this about Green's ability to play off the ball, a skill that will be very important this upcoming season. Him playing off the ball was good. Coming off pin downs, coming off screens, keeping the defense honest on the backside movement, I think he did a perfect job of not chasing it, being able to find opportunities to create for his teammates. And whenever the ball did find his hands, he was a live go. This is an excellent sign for not only Jalen, but for the future of this new backcourt duo. Their third guard hybrid is rookie Thompson. At 6'7", he's an excellent passer who sees the floor well. He'll be a nice addition coming off the bench, where he can have an entire unit to himself. Again, VanVleet's leadership and mentorship will be huge for him. Thompson already has a high IQ and feel for the game for a player of his age too. Unfortunately though, he's not a great shooter. And remember, the Rockets were the single worst three-point shooting team in the league last season. Even with that being said though, he has a high ceiling as a slasher and mid-range operator. As long as he's surrounded by scorers and players who can make an open shot, he will thrive. One of the Rockets' biggest problems was their lack of passers and facilitators. Now that they have VanVleet and Thompson, the offense will run much more smoothly. At times, Thompson's defensive ability will allow him to play the small forward position with Green and Fred as the guards. You can just do so much with their combination of guard play. So the guard spot is locked and filled with versatility on both ends. But every elite team has to have one lockdown defender who can defend the best scorers in the NBA on a nightly basis. And luckily for Houston, they signed one of the best at doing that, Dillon Brooks. Having a player who can lock down elite scorers is equally as important as having an elite scorer. Brooks made the all-defensive team for a reason. The man caused complete chaos every single game, being the best off-ball chaser in the NBA and one of the best screen navigators in the NBA, while also being a top 5 or 6 one-on-one perimeter defender. Brooks will be a game changer on this end of the floor. The last time they had an elite, versatile defender like him was when PJ Tucker left. He's going to pick up the slack from Jalen Green and the small height of VanVleet on this end. But we all know the full truth about Brooks' game. He can't shoot. Again, one of Houston's problems. As we mentioned with Thompson, the Rockets were the worst shooting team in the league, and after this offseason, that may very well be true again this season. But bad three-point shooting isn't always an indication that a team will perform badly. For example, the New York Knicks were 19th in three-point shooting and made the playoffs. The Lakers were 25th. The Grizzlies were 23rd. The Miami Heat were 27th, and the Hawks were 21st. I know most of those teams have a superstar on the roster, but my point still stands. Alongside Brooks at the forward position is Jabari Smith Jr. His potential on both ends of the floor is polarizing. He shot 30% from 3, but he was just a rookie, and we all know he has the skill to put up points. He just needs to find his footing and roll within the offense, something Ime Udoka should assist him with. Maybe the most unique player on the roster for Houston is their center, Alperen Sengun. He averaged 15, 9, and 4 as a sophomore while being among the league's most skilled post scorers and passers. Sengun is a special talent. He does all of the dirty work and then some. I expect his role as a post playmaker to grow even more this season. And if VanVleet, Green, and Jabari Smith Jr. can improve their consistency from 3, they will have no problem getting open looks off of his passing. The Rockets bench is underrated as well. Aside from Thompson, they have Jae'Sean Tate, Jock Landale, Terry Eason, and Cam Whitmore. Overall, they just have the perfect roster. They have good guard play, a lockdown defender, and an immensely skilled center who's just 21 years old. Then they have Jabari, Terry, and Cam, who've all brought different qualities to the team and are all very young. This team has all of the pieces to be special soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.